Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are breaking down The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3, The Path. I'm your host, Tamara, and I'm glad you hit that play button on today's episode. Please follow us on your favorite social media apps. The link to find both me and Lisa are in the show notes. If you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss a single episode as we journey through this season. Joining me is my show co host, Lisa. Welcome back, Lisa.
Hey Tamara, hey everyone. My name is Lisa. I'm an author. I'm also the publisher of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture.
All right. So if you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Right. No scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around a lot. And of course, a huge spoiler alert for everything through yesterday's episode. The only spoilers you don't really have to worry about here are from the game because we didn't play it.
No, although on occasion my boyfriend will pop up and go, you know,
I know.
but that's about the extent of my spoilers from the game.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll catch something like on the internet, but I try not to bring it up. But,
Mhm.
we'll see if I can be successful. Anyway, if you're cool with that, this is the place for you. And we're going to jump right to it. So, this was the third episode. High level, what'd you think?
I liked it, and they did do a time jump like we had talked about.
Yep, they did.
So not as far ahead as we thought.
Mm-hmm.
It was only 3 months because I think we thought it would be about 6.
Yeah,
But
which I was glad for because I didn't want to sit in that for too long.
right. I mean, at the very beginning of the episode, we do see her
Mm-hmm.
wake up right after, I think, after she's brought back, because you see, and you can see the town's in disarray, and, um, you know, they're cleaning the body, uh,
Yeah,
which was really just heartbreaking if you think about it.
yeah,
And then it pulls back and you see all the rest of the body. So, I mean, so that first, like, probably 5-10 minutes were in the now, so to speak.
yeah. We were
And,
feeling the grief in Jackson for sure.
hmm
In that scene where, Ellie wakes up and,
yeah.
he asks her, do you kind of know what's going on? And she starts screaming.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
God, that's horrible. I was like, oh no.
And then,
Yeah.
they knock her out, and then the next time she wakes up, we're in the future.
Yeah. 3 months have passed and
Mhm.
she's been mending. I guess, she must have had something, a rib broken or a lung collapsed or something because they had that tube sticking out of her side.
I'm gonna go with, she probably had a couple of broken ribs, a collapsed lung.
Yeah.
Uh, a tube like that would probably indicate that, one of her lungs, if not, but at least one of her lungs had started filling with fluid, so they
Blood.
were
Yeah.
trying to keep it, you know.
Mm.
Um, that also says that, while they may not be high tech on medicine, it's more than band aids.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like a hospital. They had a
Yeah.
hospital and thank goodness when I saw those people in that hospital, I was not expecting to see that, but it was good to know they had that technology there.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
And and I did like, I was hoping they wouldn't completely pass over the the immediate aftermath of what had happened, and I thought they did a really good job of, in those, I mean, in just those brief moments, really conveying how bad the town had been hurt.
Yeah, I agree. We saw them rebuilding. We saw the death of it all, up
We
close
saw
and
the people at
personal.
the well, and we saw the hospital and all the patients,
Yeah.
and, when they were cleaning Joel's body, you know, which was just, again, it was, that was a hard scene in a way. You know what I mean? Watching his brother take his hand, and, so anyway, but,
Yeah.
and then as it pulls back, you see all the other bodies that are also
Yeah.
wrapped, and you know that they have done this for all of them.
That's wild. Yeah, that was impactful for sure.
Mhm.
I felt it and they did a good job with it. And then they were time jumped us right out of that
Right,
because we had to get to business, right?
right.
So,
Well, and then so we see Ellie awake, and we see the town rebuilding,
mhm.
and lots of construction going on. Uh, and people are still, you can see everyone's there's still hurt there, but people are moving forward.
Yeah, you have to, right?
Right.
There's like not a choice. They need to protect themselves again, right? Build everything back up, secure the place. because
Right.
there's still raters and other things. They can't sit in it for too long.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then also, when Ellie is released, we see she has to go under a little psychological evaluation with our therapist, Gail,
Yeah.
there.
Gail is, I'm supposed to be seeing another therapist so that I can unburden myself from everyone else's burdens. But I
Uh-huh.
don't have one. So what do? Booze and drugs. You know,
Yes. Whatever works.
you know, which is another way of saying she's not coping well.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
honestly, they should try and find her someone, not necessarily a therapist, but just someone who is a decent listener that she can kind of unload on a little bit. They can't just have one therapist. They've got to train more.
You would think, right? You would
Yeah,
think, but maybe she's the best. I don't know. And she is not healed.
I was gonna say shows her ass. You know,
Yes. She does.
I mean, let's be truthful here. She was, yeah. You
Yeah.
can tell it is eating it, and she's got her own trauma to deal with. Her husband's dead.
Mhm.
So yeah, between her own trauma and listening to, and that everyone in town has been coming to her with their trauma, and she's like half a step from a postal worker at
I
this
mean,
point.
exactly. I mean, honestly, she's doing a good job keeping it together. Drink what you need to drink, smoke what you need to smoke. It's fine because people are just trauma dumping on her all the time.
Right.
So,
Except for Ellie. Ellie's fine. Ellie's fine.
oh, yeah, she claims to be fine, but we all know she is not
Oh, we
fine.
know she's fine. I did kind of find that interesting when Joel's brother was asking her if he thought that Joel had turned Ellie into what she is.
Mm,
And the therapist was like, "No,
no,
I
yeah.
think they've been in lockstep since they first met."
Mhm.
And honestly, I think I agree with that, because Ellie was, I mean, she was rough around the edges. She's actually mellowed since she's been with Joel. If you think about it, way back from when we first met her,
Mhm. Yeah.
she's actually mellowed some.
Yeah, she has. She was very, bratty and loud and rambunctious when she was younger, and
Angry.
and angry. And she kind of is now, but it shows a little differently. It wears a little differently on a young adult.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that she has completely gotten rid of all those bad things. I'm just saying that you could even see from the time when she started her journey with Joel, in episode 1, and when she ended season 1,
Mhm.
how much she had changed.
Mhm.
Um and I do think that her and Joel did fall into, as he asked, lockstep with each other. And so, and there was, nature, nurture. I'm sure it was a bit of both.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. So, when Ellie gets out of the hospital, she goes back to their home, that empty home, and
Hmm.
she kind of just finds his coat, she finds the broken watch, the revolver, and she just, cries into the jacket.
Which, perfectly. I mean, honestly, that
Yeah.
is a perfectly human thing to do right there.
Yeah, and I think it was also touching, like, even though she just got finished telling Gail, "She's fine, I'm fine," she goes home and just cries, right?
Because I don't think she really has.
Yeah.
I know she screamed,
Mhm.
but I don't know if she's actually grieved.
No. And she got interrupted in her grieving. I feel like I would have liked to see that play out a little more, but, this show moves quickly. The pace is fast. So on to the next, right?
Exactly.
It'll come up again, though. She's not done grieving, obviously. We're
Oh no.
not done with it.
I mean, we saw a little bit of that towards the middle, I guess, of the episode when they went to the graveyard.
Yeah. Ultimately, she decides what's going to happen after her friend comes and tells her, right? So Dina comes and she gives her some cookies. She's
Yeah.
like, "Girl, I got some cookies for you because you're going to be mad."
Right. Cookies make everything better.
Uh-huh. And she tells her all the dirt she has on those people that
Hmm.
were with Abby.
Which isn't a lot, but it is enough.
Yeah, it's enough to know where to go
Right.
and a couple of names to listen for, right? Before they even had that little hearing, I knew she would be gone. Did
Oh,
you
I knew
know?
she was going to go either way.
Mhm.
It did. I know she wanted to go and she wanted to have help because the more people that went with, the better the odds of success.
Yeah. But you know
Um,
what I think? If I can just like project ahead, I bet Tommy and maybe a couple others will come after her anyway. Once
they
they see
might.
she's gone, you know? I can't believe they would just let those 2 young adults out there without, these okay, let's keep it real. These women are small women.
Yeah.
They're like 5'2", right? They
Well, and
got
Ellie
some
is not.
skills.
Ellie is not in her best form. I mean, she
No.
is. She is recovered. She is still convalescent. Honestly,
Yeah.
when she was, working on the bag,
Mhm.
and he was telling her to use the other side, she's like, "But that side hurts."
Yeah.
You know,
He's like, "I can tell. Keep hitting with that side."
right?
Yeah.
So again, I mean, she is better. She is healing, but she is still convalescent. She's
Yeah.
not, and at her best, she couldn't take on these people.
Yeah, that's why, especially, once she sees who they're up against, because, again, you're going into something, you don't know how many people they have, you don't know how supplied they are, how organized they are. She knows nothing. They're
Hmm.
walking in blind. They're going to need help. And I just can't imagine that, Tommy is basically her family as well, right?
Right.
Like pseudo family. I cannot believe that he would not come after her or send someone after her if he doesn't himself.
To quote the therapist, his inherited problem.
Mhm.
You know, and and again, if Ellie had been smart, she would have waited. She would have waited until she was back in shape. She had recovered. She had her win back. You know, and she could, do things like run if she needs to. Um,
But
and
that's exactly why Dina didn't tell her sooner, and she tells her. She's like, "You would
right,
have been trying to crawl out of here."
right.
Yeah.
Um, and we both knew that Ellie wouldn't say okay, and have her Rocky Balboa moment where she's doing all the fighting the chicken and stuff. Um, she wasn't going to do that. She was going.
Right.
And so Dina did. She was smart, not saying anything.
Yeah, she was. And that's why she forgave her so quick, I think. She realized after she kinda laid it out for her, after she got over her shock of not being told,
Right.
she's like, "You're right. You had, like, a hole in your side. You couldn't really do anything. You could barely, you're
You couldn't
sneaking
breathe
and
on your
doing
own.
crunches in the hospital. You're not doing anything. Get out of
And you
here."
knew that she would forgiven her as soon as she like slid the cookies over.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. Cookies make
Mhm.
everything better.
I think that other guy who she was, practicing with the bag, I think he voted against her.
He did.
Yeah.
That's Dina's boyfriend.
Mhm.
And she even said, you come up quite a bit in those 3 months. There's a lot of openings. There's a lot of people that died. Well, not a lot, but enough
Mhm.
people died. Um, and even his reaction to her question tells me that he wasn't going to vote for her because this is a guy. Even from the last couple episodes, we could tell he's a very conservative guy.
Yeah.
He plays by the rules. It's one foot in front of the other to get to the next step.
Mhm.
He doesn't leap. He doesn't jump. I think that's part of the reason why him and Dina are on again and off again so much because she's not as bad as Ellie, but she is sporadic.
Mhm.
She's impulsive, and I think he occasionally drives her crazy with
Mhm.
his solidness. But yeah, and you got a good feel from the town. Some people were for it, some people were against it. Uh,
I think more were against than for.
yeah, they were.
Mhm.
Uh, and Ellie, I'm gonna say Ellie did a good job with her speech,
She did.
but we all know she was lying. You know,
Yeah, okay, so her speech was very logical, right? She was trying to pull at the heartstrings of people without seeming selfish, but
Uh-huh.
people know her
Uh-huh.
and they're like, "Nice try." No, uh, we're not doing that. And, like the one girl who stood up, the one woman who stood up on the chair, she's like,
Mhm.
"Dude, if we get attacked, we can't send our best people away."
Right.
And that makes total sense to me.
It does. And
Yeah,
honestly, I was even surprised they were asking for that many because if I had been her, I would have asked for like 4. 4 people total.
plus her, 4 plus her, or just 4 period,
Just
including
4.
her. Mhm.
I mean, because 4 people is enough for support, but but that's a small enough group to be able to sneak through areas pretty easily.
Yeah.
4 would have been a good number,
It's har
personally, I
it's
think.
hard to hide more than 4.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they had taken 4, I don't know that I would have recommended taking horses. They could have. Um,
Well, they
but
needed to, it would take forever to get there.
yeah, probably. And, I mean, they're far from Seattle, but they're not that far. It'd take longer though.
Yeah.
But horses again require a lot of care, and they need them for the, you know, taking 4 horses from
Oh, no, they wouldn't have done that. You see this time, well, they only could get 1, but they only took
right,
1 for the 2 of them.
right, and they did that intent. I mean, there was a
Yeah,
couple of reasons around it, and one of them was is they didn't have to worry about taking. It wouldn't take as much to take care of, which is perfect.
exactly. So if it were 4 of them, 2 horses, 2 each,
Right.
and just deal with that. Because, again, Dina was very smart about the plan. She's like, "Oh, no, what are you doing? Here's the plan.
Hmm.
Make sure you have this kind of stuff. You gotta take those chucks off, girl. Get some other shoes. Um, make everything fit in one bag, right?"
Right. Yeah, I do appreciate the continuity with you wearing the Crocs across country, but we are not doing this.
Yeah, take those things off. And she's like, "Oh, I walked across the country before, but girl, that was a long time ago. And you're going into the woods and mountains and stuff. Take them things off."
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
shows her immaturity a little bit. Like, I know that's your style, but you gotta think smart here.
Well, and it wasn't even just. It's not even just that she was wearing tennis shoes. She was wearing raggedy ass tennis shoes, ones that looked they were being held together by duct tape and dreams. You know,
Water would seep through those things. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
these are not good shoes.
Nope, not at all. But they got it together and they got the horse and that dreadful man helped them.
Yeah. Well, and he also stood up in the meeting
Mhm.
and stood up for her.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was all guilt from what had happened on New Year's Eve.
No, but I don't think it was also for the pure reasons either. I think
Right.
that guy is scared of the unknown. He's scared of not, I think he's like, "Yeah, let's get them because I don't want someone else to come back and get us." We're
Yeah.
not weak. It's because of that. It's not because of
Well,
justice per se.
and there is a fear. I mean, they've been pretty isolated up there. And these guys, I mean, they don't know this, but Abby and her group had no idea about them being up here. They were expecting maybe a couple of tents or a tent city, not a town with walls and electricity.
Right.
Which apparently is better than what they're doing in Seattle.
Yeah.
So, um, but what Seattle apparently does have is a militia.
Oh my god, right? That's a
And
lot of people.
right. And I mean it would not be a far stretch for them to go back there and report about this place and them to go, huh, we should go take that.
Yeah, they have the WLF, the Washington Liberation Front.
Exactly. And and they've already established in this episode that they will kill to get what they want because they went after the people that appear to be incredibly peaceful
Mhm. Mhm.
as they were quietly trying to walk through the woods. They had an entire whistle language, which I thought was really cool. Um,
Yeah.
and
But actually, I did see a little spoiler on them, just a little background. I don't know if we're gonna get the background because those people are dead already.
yeah,
Um, so I guess they have a name and they call them the Seraphites. And I
okay,
guess, they're considered a cult
yes,
and they are definitely dangerous people. They're not necessarily kind people, but they did get the jump on them.
yeah,
But yeah, so apparently those people aren't, yeah, there was a kid there, but it's like The Walking Dead. You come across different groups, you really don't know who they are.
right. Well, I went for the fact that I mean, because they even address, some people consider us a cult. We're following the prophetess.
Hmm.
Um, she's not divine. She just merely tells the truth. She won't save us, which is different than most cults who believe that whoever their leader is like their divine savior. So that was kind of refreshing for cult like behavior. Um,
But I was like, what's up with the scars on their faces, though?
right. Well, and they were all wearing hammers, but honestly, I just assumed. I mean, peaceful or not, you still have to have protection because you wouldn't go out in The Walking Dead without weapons.
No,
You
you
don't go out
wouldn't.
to these clickers and such without weapons.
But I also would not be scarring children's faces either. If
Yeah,
you're an adult and you choose to do whatever the group is doing, and the scar means, I don't know, bravery, whatever they choose it to mean, that's one thing. But that gives you the indicator that something is wrong. You're doing this to kids.
I don't. I'm gonna say there are a lot of cultures
I know, but
across the
that's not a culture. They just made that
yeah, but
shit up at the end of the world.
right. But I mean, every culture is made up. Someone
Oh,
started it. You know,
well,
culture is just basically cult plus time plus mellowing.
oh, I don't know about that.
You know,
I don't know about
people
that.
band. I mean, but people band together because they share a common goal or
Right.
share a common interest or have a common occurrence happen to them. And then it gets, and then they become very clan like for a while. And then as they kind of mellow, they expand out.
Yeah, you're assuming that they will mellow, though. I feel like, yeah, that's how it is in history. But these little factions of people, I mean, come on, we're going to find more of them. We're not done
Yeah.
with it.
I
They're
mean,
just,
and I mean, I'm not saying specifically for these. I'm just saying as a general rule.
uh huh.
And there are a lot of cultures around the world that do body scarring and body tattoos and so on and so forth to mark themselves as membership to certain tribes, certain
Yeah.
groups.
And I still think it's wrong when they do stuff to kids. How I feel. A kid can't choose. I feel like that in the real world when they be doing stuff to children. I
Right.
hate that.
And I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that it's not uncommon.
Well, they don't make it okay. But yeah. So I guess we'll see. Maybe we'll see some more of these Seraphites or not. That might be the end of them. I don't know. But when they came across them, Dina was sick. She was like, "Oh my god." Bleh."
Yeah. Well, and I assume that they were more peaceful than others simply because they were trying to run away from a fight, trying to get away from these situations. Um, because usually more aggressive groups would go, "No, I'm keeping what's mine."
Maybe. We
But
don't really know what their whistles meant exactly. Like I know he told his little daughter, she was able to translate a little bit at the beginning. But that last one before they all went running, he did say it was like what monsters or something, but who knows what really they were saying.
well, obviously it was people because
Mhm.
bullets.
But when they said monsters, I'm like, I thought he was talking about like the infected,
Right,
but that's not who he was talking about.
right. And Ellie did notice it was not a uniform type of uh, shell casings either. It was a extreme mix.
Mhm.
So
Hmm. Well, that will be revealed eventually. What exactly happened to those people? I'm sure we'll know. We'll find out something.
oh well, if we don't find out about them exactly, we'll find out why. I'm sure, just simply because we're now meeting. We've gotten our first sort of introduction to the militia,
Mhm.
with their tanks as they march down the street.
Well, look, I know one thing. After finding that and knowing that there are people in the woods out there that are really dangerous and they're just murdering people, I would not be able to sleep in a tent. I need to see what the hell. And I know it was raining and stuff, but that, I don't know, I find that very unnerving. Not going to be able to see what's going on because I'm in a tent.
Well, the tent was before they found the people. Yeah.
Well, regardless, I still wouldn't be out there where I can't see stuff. I guess they think they're a little bit concealed, which they are, but when that light was on, they weren't. They're
Yeah.
like really bright. I was like, oh, thinking like, oh, I hope they're not just gonna start like a makeout session or something in there and get caught off unawares of what's going on, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't know. But I'm like, well, so what do you think about that conversation they were having about, that night and all of that? You think
I I think Dina, I think she really does like Ellie. I don't think she's decided if she likes Ellie or not, but she's trying to get out of Ellie to I think she's trying to gauge Ellie's level of how much she likes her.
mhm.
Um it's high school. This is
Mhm.
yeah. So do you like me? You know, circle yes, circle no.
Oh my gosh.
Um
She's like, "How good a kisser am I?" I'm like, "What? Okay, girl,
right.
what you trying to do?"
You know, 'cause she could have just let that whole thing go.
Mhm, and Ellie
Ellie
was gonna let it go. She was
right.
not gonna say anything.
She wasn't gonna say anything, she wasn't gonna bring it up. You could see her kinda having some wheels turning there right before she turned off the light, but she's like, "Nope, nope, 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 nope."
Mhm.
Um, so it's Dina that's making things uncomfortable.
Yeah, she's like the instigator here, like,
Yeah,
"Why are we talking about this? What's happening? What do you
yeah.
want exactly?"
Mhm.
She's very
And
indecisive, I think, because it's clear she likes the girl.
yeah,
I don't know. But she got back with, Jesse or whatever his name is.
yep.
So I
And
don't
she
know.
even said that. "Yeah, we're
Mhm.
back together
Yeah.
again." You know, and I'm pretty sure this has been an on again, off again thing for a very long time.
Mhm. I'm curious to see what becomes of their friendship. Like, will Dina make it out of this season alive? Will she not? You know, I'm curious about that. I'm not sure she will.
I don't know. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna venture to guess on that one because I'm not sure.
The thing is this is really dangerous stuff they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And that's also backs up the reason why I think Tommy and some other people might be coming for her cuz someone's got to die. I'm sorry. We had one death, yes, but they're going to deal with a militia. Someone else needs to die. Who is it going to be is the question. And and there are only two of them right now. So it's one
Right.
of them or it's going to be someone else that comes to support them. There's just no way they're going to make it out with no losses. I just can't imagine that.
Right. You know, but then again, I things may not play out like kind of like how Abby finding Joel did not play out at all like you and I had speculated.
Yeah.
For all we know, the militia is on the move to go back to find, Joel's people.
I mean, we never know.
Right. We don't know why they're moving. We don't know where they're going. We don't know anything that's going on. For all we know,
I mean, honestly, anything we guess is a guess. You know, we don't know anything.
right.
We definitely didn't play the game, so we don't. So far it seems like from what I've heard, they are following the game pretty
Uh-huh.
lockstep. So,
Right. And it's been 3 months. And it didn't take them very long to get there. Of course, they were on a horse. The others were on foot. Um, but that being said, it wouldn't take much. I mean, there would have been enough time that if Abby and her friends got back there and said, "Hey, we found this city, and it has electricity and walls and blah blah blah, blah,"
mhm,
and it was able to withstand the attack. Um, we might want to go get that place. They might be on their way
mhm,
because I mean they're not technically raiders. But I'm gonna go with they are probably not good guys.
Right. Exactly. Probably not.
Probably not. Well, and I mean they're not fireflies, but even I mean the fireflies weren't all great. They weren't all good. They some of them had a good cause. They had a good common cause, but you could see that a lot of them strayed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All the military cities had just become absolute despot dictatorships. Um, there's just not a lot of honestly. Joel's people are pretty much the only ones that aren't
Horrible.
horrible.
Yeah.
That aren't you know they're not militaristic. I mean they're prepared, but they're not military,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not living under the heel of one singular you know dictatorship, or military tribunal. They do have I mean, they have a council, but but there's what, eight of them, nine of them, and they vote and they do listen to people and you know, they have elections. So yeah, this city is probably the closest we have anywhere in the country from what we've seen so far of actual civilization.
Yeah. I would agree.
So of course someone wants to come and destroy
Yeah, of course.
it.
Everything good cannot stay.
Yeah.
If it's good, it's got to go. We're
This
gonna
is why we
destroy it.
can't have nice things.
I know.
So yeah. But yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, we know that these people are on the move. We don't know why. We don't know if they are just doing maneuvers. We don't know if they're a roving band, or if they're fairly settled. We really don't know much about them at all.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they used to be part of the Fireflies,
Yeah, or at least a segment of them or
a
something.
segment of them, but
Yeah,
that's about it. That's all we really know.
right. Which is vague in itself. So maybe we'll know more as they get into it. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's so hard to guess what's going to happen.
And I mean, that's not terrible, because if we knew what was going to happen before every episode, it'd be really boring.
Yeah, what? So I thought it was interesting when we switched to the scene of Seattle,
Hmm.
how they were like messaging each other over the walkies, not walkers, over the walkies. And, they're actually looking out to see if places were clear for them to march a certain way or go a certain way. I was impressed. I'm like, oh, they're going to be spotted. I don't know how they're going to get into that city without being seen.
Right. Well, especially, I mean, it's not like, they were up there on that overpass. It's
Mm,
not like they were hiding.
no. Yeah, they
That
might
horse
have
is
even been seen then, but who
right.
knows?
Yeah, and it's not like that horse is small.
Right.
If it was just maybe two people walking up, they might go unnoticed for longer, but two people and a horse, not quite so much.
No, and if they're up there constantly scanning the different, areas, based on the clock, what like 1 and 2, 3 and 4, whatever, wherever they're looking, or however they get into the city, it's gonna surprise me if they can get in there unseen because
Right.
it seems like they have people all over the place looking.
Right.
At least one, minimum one, probably two.
And the thing of it is Abby and her people would probably recognize both Dina and Ellie.
Oh, absolutely. If they see them first, they're not gonna sneak up on them.
Yeah, exactly. So
They're gonna say, "Dang, we should have killed her."
probably. Although I will say Ellie did tell them very forcefully, "I will kill you." So
Mm-hmm.
she
She
wasn't kidding.
meant it. Yeah, she
Meant
was
it.
not kidding. Well, they're gonna find out, right?
Right.
Yeah. Let's see what else. This episode was pretty straightforward, and I think this was kind of like a connector episode. Not much action, but important in itself
Yeah.
because it pushed the plot forward. It set us up for the next conflict really nicely.
Well,
Um,
and it gave us a chance to grieve,
mm-hmm,
with the characters, Joel's death, and and the immediate grief, and then the moving on.
mm-hmm.
You know, um, and to kind of see that you can see the changes that this attack has caused to the city. There is more fear than there was before. You can tell that with the people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and but and then it gives us we haven't really seen much of the outside world at all this season until now.
Which is cool, I think, because I think that's kind of why we were kind of theorizing that there would be a time jump because no one wants to spend a whole season in that town.
Right.
So I'm glad we got on the move and we're somewhere else.
It's no longer winter time. That's
Yeah.
nice. It's a much better time of year to travel, not
Mm-hmm.
freezing. But and I will the one thing that struck me is, and again they were staying off the main roads and stuff, but it is the world is very empty.
Yeah. It is. Definitely hasn't started to repopulate itself yet. Got a ways to go for that probably.
Hmm.
And obviously the cordyceps things are still growing everywhere. Oh, so okay, side note. So in yet last week's episode, we saw Ellie like putting some blood went down the drain.
Uh-huh.
And someone was theorizing that the cordyceps in the pipes was because of her putting blood down the drain.
Yeah, you sent me that link. I watched that. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's actually not a terrible theory.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's different." I didn't even given that a second thought, like,
Yeah.
huh, yeah, so that makes me wonder, obviously all of the cordyceps are still out there, so though I don't know, I guess they probably won't start to rebuild or be able to grow a population until all those things are actually dead
Yeah.
somehow.
I mean, you can tell. I mean, there are babies being born.
Mhm.
The girl that was with the other group was obviously younger than the apocalypse. So I mean, there are some children being born, but you can also see it's nowhere near replacement.
No, not yet.
Mm-mm.
I mean, with people still being killed and, those things not really they're just lying in wait, some of them, like with last week, they were just all piled up under the snow. I don't know, they could
Yep.
be everywhere. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how this if we even get to that point. I think they already have the end of this story already. So
Uh-huh.
who knows what we'll actually get to see, but it's interesting to think about.
I did enjoy this. I mean, again, there wasn't a lot of action or anything. This was a quiet moment, or these quiet interludes
Mhm.
throughout the whole thing. It was Ellie having her grief in the house. It was the two of them, Ellie and Dina, discussing, Dina coming clean about what she knew. It was the town coming together and saying yes or no. And then, them leaving, and then the interlude before anything bad happens when they're on the horse and they're playing word games,
Mhm.
you know, um, and going to Joel's grave, and so there's a lot went on, but mostly they were just these quiet reflection moments, these little vignettes within the episode.
Yeah. Definitely a transitional episode.
But I liked it. I thought it was very well done, and I wasn't bored.
Yeah.
They didn't linger too long on any of the quiet moments
Mhm.
or even the silly moments. Ozzy Osbourne, ooh, double points.
I
Yeah,
mean, so far, honestly, I think these writers, they've got the pacing right.
yeah,
The pacing has been good. And like we pointed out, I don't know, I think in the first episode, with so few of the episodes, even versus last season, they have less
mhm,
episodes. So they really don't have a whole lot of time to burn, on prolonged scenes and prolonged sadness and prolonged everything, right? You can't really do it.
yeah.
They're trying
Um,
to get someplace in 7 episodes.
I was listening to the little after the thing after the episode,
Mhm.
and one of the guys was talking. He's like, one of the things that always kind of made me sad was we really couldn't we couldn't explore the grief of Joel's passing in a video game because that's not how video games work.
Mm-hmm.
He said so this was really nice because we were able to do that. We were able to explore some of that grief.
Right.
He's like we didn't like spend a whole episode on it or anything, but it was nice to have that chance for the people to mourn him.
Yeah. Honestly, it was really balanced because
Hmm.
had they done a whole episode about that, I would not have liked it. I would not have wanted 50 minutes of grieving Joel. I just wouldn't have.
Right.
That would not have been fun to watch at all.
No. No.
So they were smart about it. Like they gave the little extra that they felt the audience needed, but it was just enough.
Right.
It's so nice to watch something and not have a gazillion complaints about it.
I know. And the walkies work reasonably.
Yeah, that's amazing. Nothing
I know.
ridiculous.
You're not picking up signals over mountains or across the ocean or anything.
Hmm.
Who knew?
Who knew? Stuff can work how it's supposed to work.
I
Look
know.
at that.
It's just weird, right?
Yeah, it's great. Honestly, I think that's kind of what I like about this show in general. It feels really realistic, even though it's very not realistic. Like,
Yeah.
even how we got to see the outbreak, even in season one, it's very sciency, right?
Right.
It's not this whole, woo, how to get like this. We don't know. It's very, very different. It feels different
Hmm.
in a good way. It's fresh.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. I have no complaints as of so far, which is great.
Yeah. Because you guys, if you want to hear us complain, check out the other stuff we talk about. When we talk about The Walking Dead, we can cut them up. We chew them up and spit them out on a regular basis.
Well, they don't need to be so dumb.
I know. I know. If you ever want to get some entertainment, some more entertainment, check out some of our Walking Dead episodes.
Occasionally, you'll hear Tamara say to me, "Why do you know that stuff? Why are you making me nauseous?" I don't know. I'm just saying. There's The Walking Dead, and there should be a ton of flies, lots of them.
I
I'm just saying.
swear,
You know,
y'all, Lisa knows a little bit about everything. You be like, how? Okay. I don't know how you know, but okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm a walking Google. You don't want to. My brain is full of stuff. It's not always useful, but hey, I can pick apart an episode because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. We
So
definitely
yeah,
do.
but no, I mean on this one, really, it's not that the science is quote unquote good. The science is plausible.
Mhm.
Um, because we already know that in nature there is such a thing as this.
Right.
Um, and there's one type that goes after basically wasps and things grow out of its head and it becomes a zombie and I mean it's it's pretty gnarly.
Mhm.
So this is not a this could never happen scenario. I don't want it to happen, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not even saying that it's plausible. What I'm saying is it's not completely implausible.
Right.
And they don't push the science to the ridiculous.
No, we just got enough to understand what caused the outbreak and how that all happened, and we
Mhm.
can move on. Unlike our other favorite series, and all of its spin-offs where we still don't know what the hell happened.
Right.
So,
Infected flower, man. Who knew?
yeah, who knew? So I guess actually I don't think I have anything else. This episode, like I said, it was so succinct. We had a couple like main things going on, and that's it. It's not a lot
Right.
of things.
Right. And I really at this point, I mean we've talked about all the major moments
Yeah,
and it was good. I mean it was a good solid episode and I'm really pleased with this series.
yeah, me too. It's a good season. We got 4 more episodes to go before the end. So, and I know these next couple of weeks will fly by for sure.
I mean for those of you that any of you out there that have played the video games,
Hmm.
I mean are you in agreement with this? I mean have these episodes been as solid to you as they are to us or are you upset because, minor variations for the video game.
Yeah. When answering that, don't tell us any future spoilers, okay? Don't
Yeah,
don't do
don't
that.
spoil it for us. Just say yay, nay, or I
Yeah.
like it, or I love it, or I hate it,
Mhm.
Because several people I know that have actually played the video games have refused to watch the show,
Mm.
so I can't ask them,
Mhm.
um, other than when they occasionally walk in and go, "Oh, I know that from the video game," and then
Mhm.
they blah something on me and they walk away.
Oh, goodness.
They're like cats, throwing up a hairball on the floor and then walking away.
Yeah. As most people do with adaptations, everything is not gonna be perfect, but
Right. So I'm just curious, if
yeah.
anyone wants to share.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that too. If you're a gamer, you played all the game and how you feel about it. Okay, I think that's it. What do you think, Lisa?
I think we're done.
Okay, it's been a great conversation, a fun time as always. And of course, we enjoy and love that you guys listen to the entire episode. We thank you for doing that. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you are listening, because we'll be back again next week and we want you to make sure you get the notification so you don't miss the episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a 5-star rating wherever you are listening. That helps us out a lot. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.